Welcome to my voiceover world.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. This is such a treat that you asked me, and I know it took a while to make it happen, but here we are.
Yes, indeed. Uh,
Yeah.
Thanks for willing to do this.
You betcha, Sebastian. I commend you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm just making this so that I can see you really well. Hold on one second. Okay, there.
Oh,
Mm.
I've been wanting to say this to you, but I'm beginning to know a lot about you because of your character Millie Thompson from Trigon right there. And since
Yeah.
that, I'm beginning to know about all of your voice acting right there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so tell me though, let me ask you something about Millie. So tell me about your experience with Millie that made you kind of further your exploration.
Well, to put it into more honest terms, but when I was seeing Millie in that show, oh, it just she kind of makes me think of myself because of, all that because of the personality right there when it
Yeah,
comes to just trying to show off a little bit of good steam within ourselves, you know?
right.
Especially how
Yeah,
I try to help out a lot of people a lot. So,
fabulous.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. That makes sense, Sebastian.
Yes. You want to
Great.
know something?
Tell
You know
me.
who is the reason why I want to come meet with you?
Ooh,
The man who interviewed you 1 year ago by the name of Chris
Chris
Mayek.
Mayak.
He's the
Yeah,
reason why I wanted to interview you and everybody else that I have done for 4 years. He inspired me to do it.
I'm so glad. A great guy, isn't he, Sebastian? He really is.
Yes,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
inspired me to interview a lot of people, even the ones that I rarely got in touch with, which I'm very lucky to do so.
Right. No, it's great. And I have to say, I really enjoyed the interview with Chris. That was really fun. He does a lot of, I'm sure you do the same thing. He does a lot of like real back history research and stuff. Is that what you've been doing? Is that what I'm up against today?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all I want to know is everything that, and to seek the knowledge of voice acting and everything from you.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll try the best I can.
of course. But to put it plainly, you being part of so many projects, what's it like being in so many things that you're part of?
Well, this is so interesting that you asked that very question because I'm going back into convention work and it's forced me to kind of expand on an archive video and my banner that I've produced, with all these different characters. The latest banner has 36 characters. And when I look at them, some of them, Sebastian, I have to be honest, I'm like, I don't really remember exactly doing that character. And of course, I walk into the studio when it's not my project, when it's something I'm not directing or a lead like Millie, and it's just a part, maybe one episode or it's a few episodes of a series. And then you walk out, you do the job and you walk out. And so I don't get a feeling of what that show's about. And so it doesn't sink into me of like what, and then I move on to the next and the next and the next and the next. And I'm cross working because I'm doing writing, directing, and casting and voicing. So what happens is then you kind of muddle them all together or you let them go and you have to hang on to the ones that are prominent, like the Millie and Chun-Li or whatever it might be, Judy from Cowboy Bebop, things like that. So yeah. And
I
so I don't remember them all. That's the frustration. Your answer to your question is, how is it? What's it like? It's a frustration because I don't remember them really as well as I would like to. So
I
yeah.
understand what you've been going through, but
Mhm.
everybody goes through that, Because
Yeah.
to be honest, you're not the only one who goes through that a lot. The people that I meet with, like Ellen Stern Epcar and Doug Stone, told me the same thing, that
Mhm.
they don't remember things, which is why I just understand what they're going through. Which
Yeah.
is why I what I'm about to do for them will definitely make things better. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
and that
Cool.
goes for you too, Leah. Which is
Cool.
why
Yeah.
one of these important questions is this. What inspired you to pursue voice acting, and what was the best decision you made so far that has excelled into your career? For what purpose?
Okay. I think I found out that I could do the voices that a lot of other female actors I knew at the time could not. And that was because I have a melodious high voice. And so it reached the range of a lot of the shows that needed that. I either could play the young, very, very young, or just the high voiced younger women, but not necessarily kids or really, really young. And I think that I started to understand the versatility because as an actor, I could also kind of lend itself into the more mature, maybe a little bit older, without playing all those roles, but still able to do it if I needed to. So the challenge of not being myself, because I got to play all these different characters, and I was as a character actor, I want to be different than myself. So I think that's what really inspired me once I started getting into it. It was being able to be a character actor, but not worry about what I look like, or my age. So yeah, does that answer?
Yes, it does answer that question indeed. I'm
Cool.
just trying to make sure that I understand clearly about what's it like, about how you got into voice acting and everything. But
How
now
I
I know what to do
Mhm.
about it.
Okay. Well, yeah, because how everyone gets into voice acting differently, right? It
Yeah,
depends. Yeah,
depending on what we do a lot these days. For
right.
me, I just do it by auditioning, which I'm currently doing for the sake of my goals, and
Fabulous.
also just working hard to just get myself out there. So yeah.
Yeah, Sebastian, tell me, your voice is so deep. It's like a baritone almost. It has that resonance that is so fantastic. Is that something you've been working at, or you were always like that even when you were younger?
To to tell you the truth, it has been one of my biggest things my entire life. Since I was 6 years old, I literally look up to a lot of cartoons back then. And
Mhm.
like I have the desire of seeing myself on TV one day. But then by 2016, by the time I discovered One Punch Man, it opened my eyes to anime, and it helped me discover everybody, including you, Leah, which led my to my desire of practicing doing voice acting work for the
Yeah.
sake of seeing myself on TV, and but not just for that, but to connect with those who can understand me quite well. Which is
Hmm.
why for the past few years I have been taking classes and practicing my skills of acting so that I can be able to get myself out there. And
Yeah.
through my YouTube channel that I'm doing, which is this right here,
Yes,
where it
I love
led to
it.
my success.
Yeah, very good. Very good, Sebastian. I like to hear that. So tell me, Sebas, is that part of Sebastian and you're called that? That's like a nick.
Yes, everybody calls me that.
And say it the way it's supposed to be said.
Sebas.
Sebas.
Or
I said it right. Okay. Okay. Sebas. I like that. Cool. Cool.
yeah. Well then, about the questions about the characters, but do you remember the very first character that you played as, and what was the experience like?
Well, now, okay. There are some characters that I probably played that I don't necessarily remember because they weren't prominent. They weren't a leading part. I came into a situation and I maybe did a couple of little voices, but the one that stood out for me because it was a lead character in a long series was Nanami in El Hazard. When I got cast to do that, they were ecstatic on their end, and I had so much fun. She's that fast talking, just filled with so many challenging things to come up with in the course of whatever visually was going on and the storytelling. And the writer who took the Japanese translation and wrote it into the English to fit the sync and everything, he's probably was and still is, even though he's no longer alive and with us, but he's probably one of the best at doing that. And that's Kevin Seymour. And to work with him and then Joe Ramersa, who was the engineer, sound engineer. The three of us, like when I was in the booth, we had so much fun and making it work and bringing it to life and bringing the words on the page that he had. Because he took translation and he had a wonderful way of still staying true to the story, but giving it a little bit of spice. And that's what I liked about Kevin. So that's memorable for me back. way back when I first started working on anime. So yeah, I would say that's the one that got me going and made me
Nana
feel like I could do anything.
Nanami from Hell Hazard.
El Hazard, yeah, El Hazard, yeah,
I
yeah,
see. So that
yeah,
was your first ever character. I'm just
yeah,
trying to make sure so that just in case, well, I like to
right.
say this to you, but I plan to make a voice showcase video for you with all of your voices in it to not only to help you jog your memory of all your characters, but to give you the recognition you deserve for
Thank you.
those who carry out your legacy and to those who understand it. Just like how I did for many others for 4 years, for Billy Kometz, Brad Venable, Lance Riddick, everybody. You
Yeah.
search on my YouTube channel and you will see everything.
Okay, I will. I will. That's wonderful. I do have the archive video out there. I think you probably have or know that I have one out there. I have part one, and
I
now I'm going to
do.
go to part two. Okay,
But
so I do
and
have that, but you're going to do it different. You're going to be
yes,
all, yeah, I think that's great. I think that's great.
and
Yeah.
that's the reason why I'm telling you this. So that way I can be able to help you with remembering your voices. You'll be like, "Oh, I remember now. Now I get it." So
Fabulous.
that's why I'm telling you this. Now,
Wonderful.
without further ado, about the other characters, but how does it feel about stepping into the role of Judy from Cowboy Bebop? What do you love most about voicing that character?
What I love most about Judy it's, I have to be honest with you, it's how ditzy she is. I mean, it's so fabulously ditzy, and I tended not to play ditzy. I might have played sort of naive, but she's ditzy. And that was the challenge for me, as well as the joy and the humor. I mean, and working with Mary Elizabeth McGlynn as the director, it just was so ridiculously fun and different than what I normally did. So yeah, I'd say that's it. And it's cute, it's funny. Yeah. I think I'm sort of that I like being that comic relief, for something that's pretty dark. Cowboy Bebop's pretty dark, and aggressive and
And
yeah,
powerful,
powerful and bloody. Yeah. So I
indeed.
like I like being the comic relief.
I see.
Yeah.
So that's what you like about being that character. Because
Yeah.
all I know is that I've got to know about Cowboy Bebop and I actually got to meet some people of it. And that's
Yeah.
why I came to thought that, boy, you were just getting along with Paul St. Peter, who I got to meet with,
Mhm.
through that scene together. And
Yes.
I give props to Mary Elizabeth for directing you throughout the entire show there. Especially
Yeah, no,
that,
she's powerhouse. She's very good. Yeah.
trust
Yeah.
me, it is very nice indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Very much.
without further ado,
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
video game by the name of Dot Hack, what stood out about you voicing the characters Aura, Natsume, and others right there?
Yeah, right. And others. That's what I kind of remember doing too. Well, first of all, I love the idea of aura. And aura sort of reminds me a little bit of Yukino and, in Gatekeepers. It's that soft, breathy voice. And that's the other thing that is like, what a relief, you know, to not be up here all the time, and just being able to have a nice, until of course she had to yell and cry. Or no, no, she doesn't do that. Sorry, I mixed her up with Card Captor with a nothing card. But anyway, Aura, loved her, peaceful, lovely, beautiful to look at too. She's just her animation is gorgeous. And then as far as Natsume, um, feisty. I love feisty. I think that's good stuff. That's good stuff, and I enjoy doing that as well. So yeah, and there's other characters from there. Dot hack. I've done all kinds of dot hack characters.
Hmm.
Um,
Like, for
have you?
example, someone
Yeah.
by the name of Sephora.
Yes, but that's like a narration. Am I only narrating in that? That's a good one. Sebastian, I want to know. I find out that she's a narrator and I couldn't remember because see, let me say something. We don't see sometimes the artwork at all. We're given the character, we're given the script. We never see a visual. We don't know what we're really voicing other than the description of what they say. And then you start speaking and they say, that sounds good. We like you in that area, your vocal area. And then you stay with that. and you go through all of this dialogue for games and things like that. So Sephora, I think, is a narrator only. Yes? Do you actually see a figure and voice coming out of Sephora when you play the game?
Yes, you
Yeah.
are correct. And it's true. From what I am seeing so far throughout the game, it just helps me understand that the character herself is in fact the narrator. That's why when it comes to good listening ears, it helps me understand clearly what's it like. Just
Yeah.
like how I've seen one particular actor named Greg Chun just being a narrator and a character from the show, which the
Right.
character himself turns out to be the narrator. So that's something I have learned from that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. So I would love to see footage of, I would like to see whatever it is that I'm narrating over because the character is never, I'm just the voice you hear, correct? There's no visual of Sephora at the same time as the narration, or no?
You are
Do
correct on that. When it
you-
comes to searching up through YouTube videos about that, then it'll work out in plain sight. That's something that
Okay.
I do a lot, so that's something I want to say.
Cool.
But
Cool.
hey,
Very
you being part of Dot Hack was just a very unique way to play things out. I give
good.
props to the people that I met months ago, Keith Aram and Valerie Aram, for bringing you into that project, giving you
Yeah,
the voice direction to just make you look like fantastic characters there.
I know, right? It's fun.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now, now then, without
Yes.
further ado, the
Yes.
character Chun-Li in Street Fighter must have been such a legendary character you played as, right? So what made that role so special to you?
Because I really like the fight sequences, Sebastian. I really like doing all those fight sequences. It's like a funny little, I think because I'm Greek and Italian and I'm feisty in general. And so I got to express that with actually fighting anyone. So it was really fun for me in that regard, and a little attitude she had. And every once in a while she had that because I did the OVA and I did the movie, I did the series, so there was all these different scenarios where she's in blue, she's kind of on the cute, she can be on the cutesy side. When she's in that sort of yellow red kind of look, she's a little tougher. There's so many different levels. And I have to say that the challenge was to give her a believability. And that's what I love doing is that she seemed grounded. She was more earthbound, and and even though she's up here doing spinning bird kick and things like that, she was very solid, and that was really fun for me to do because I usually play the high la 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 la, the whining ones, right?
You know, it's so funny how you say this, but yeah, it's just something awesome. But hey, you just being Chun-Li was just super awesome. From
Right.
the animated movie through that OVA that you mentioned earlier, and that other one you last played her in called Alpha Generations, which is
Yes,
like where Joe Ramorsa brought you in right there. Like, how do I say the year was? All right, 2001.
I
So
know. I
it
know.
just and I just love your performance as Chun-Li there. Plus, you're acting as her just passed down to a lot of people there through Laura Bailey, through Ashley Burch, and then right now currently being voiced by Jenny Kwan, who on the other hand is the current voice of the character herself.
Right, right,
Through the
right.
sixth one.
There's amazing. When somebody said you play Chun-Li, I go, yeah, like five of us do, six of us, at that time it was five of us do. And they was like, yeah, I said, depends upon, yeah, it's just so iconic that you can't have just one person playing it all.
I, that's the most interesting thing to hear from you.
Yeah.
Now, without further ado, being part of the show called The Big O as the character R. Dorothy with Eret must have been the most coolest thing, right? So what's the most thrilling thing about being in that show as that character?
Okay, well, first of all, Sebastian, take a look.
Oh,
Okay, this was
oh.
made for me, and it's how men amuse themselves is my favorite line. And she's got to be one of my most favorite characters, is the other side when she plays the piano. But she's my favorite, one of my favorite characters. I mean, in all due respect, if somebody had asked me what character I would want to come back and play in anime, it would be Dorothy. Yeah, it would be. So I got to direct myself in that. I directed it as well, and um, worked with all of those actors. So many characters, to work with that were just fantastic. But um, the one-liners, Sebastian, she has some of the best one-liners, and I tend to ramble on, but I want to learn how to just do one line in my life. So that's what I like about her a lot. And she does, and she's just, it was a challenge. She had to be robotic, right? But at the same time have heart. And that was fun to work on.
I
Yeah.
see. So that's what you like about being that character there. Because
Yeah.
all I know is that I got to know about the that entire show because of you and Steve Bloom, who you guys worked together, and that you brought Alan Enfemer, the GOAT actor himself, as the butler, was pure genius there.
Yeah.
And that scene with you, Wendy Lee, and Crispin Freeman together was spectacular there.
Yeah.
Especially this whole entire thing. Because I give props to you, Kevin, and for just being good directors for both part one and number two.
Right. Right. Fabulous. Fabulous. Yeah. Glad you liked it.
Yes, I do actually.
Yeah. Good
Now,
stuff.
without further ado, oh, this one question is that's something I love doing. But Millie Thompson in Trigon must have a unique presence, right? So, what's the most coolest thing about bringing that character into the anime?
Yeah. Um, so great is that this the gentle spirit that she has, right? She has this gentle spirit, and that she could also be tough and also come up with things that to me asked simple questions or might have answered a question or made comments or whatever, and also the emotions that are all there as well. She's more complex than meets the eye, right? And also she's tall, and I'm not tall, and I loved being tall. So that's part of it also, I guess. But no, I mean, come on, the repartee between Meryl and Millie, it's, how fun is that? That's just, a lot of times you don't, as a woman, you don't get to have a lot of female roles opposite you. It tends to be a man, and if it is a woman, it's not doesn't last for very long. So it was really nice to have that female camaraderie. So yeah,
I
yeah,
see. So
yeah.
that's what you like about doing that character there.
And
'Cause
you like Millie, if I may ask, you like Millie because you also can identify with her in many ways, right? Is that what you said at the top of the interview? I think.
you know what? To be honest, it's true.
Okay,
It's like
okay.
she is more like myself because, she's like having one of my aspects of my personality for who I am on the inside.
Yes,
Because
yeah,
because I also noticed you directed the entire series
I
too,
did.
right? But you know what, something? I've been wanting to say this, but you're the reason why Johnny Young Bosch got himself into a lots and lots of anime for. Oh, because you, my friend, were able to direct him in his first ever audition right there in that
Thank you
show.
very much, Sebastian. Thank you very much, because that's true.
Yes.
I don't know if Johnny Bosch realizes that. I don't want to rub it in his face or anything, but it is amazing, isn't it? That he came to us, and he didn't have very much experience in dubbing. He was a Power Ranger. So that was his thing, and he was very good at what he did, but he didn't have a lot of dubbing, especially anime. So we warmed him into it, and the Japanese producers, really wanted him after they heard him. And I said, well, we have 26 episodes. This is gonna be like. They said, nope, we want him, and I went, okay, well then let's do it, and we did. So yeah,
Uh, well, that's super nice to hear from you.
yeah, 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 yeah. He's adorable. My God, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
indeed. Without without further like there, but as Shion Uzaki in Xenosaga must have been the most coolest character you played as, right? So what's your most favorite thing about bringing that aspect of your character throughout the entire game franchise?
Well, I have to say, of all the games I've done, I would have liked to have seen her. I would like to have seen her on stage more, like in other words, on film. Because when we voice games, we don't really see it. We're not doing it to picture. Whereas we voice anime, we do it to picture, and you get to see the character and be fed by the character. But I have to say, of all the games, Shion, to me, I felt like I was connected to her, even though I didn't get to really see her. So when I see the finished product of Shion, I like it. I was really pleasantly pleased, and I got to play young Shion also. So that was a real coup and a feather in my cap to be able to do both roles, you know. So yeah,
Well, that's very nice to hear from you, because
yeah,
all I know is that I've got to know about Xenosaga throughout many people who are involved in it. Plus, I give props to Kevin Seymour for directing you throughout the entire games there. And you
yeah,
know what else? I have learned that you voiced her for the first game, and then by the second game is where she is played by Olivia Hack, and by the third one is where you return to play her once again, only this time for its final project, the
yeah,
third project. Sort of
yeah.
like how Mass Effect did since 2012.
Right. Okay. But now I have an Olivia Hack wonderful thing to tell you. So either I have to, I hadn't done dot hack yet. I was in theater, and the I was in a musical of Cinderella, and the evil stepmother was played by the mother of Olivia Hack, and she was backstage as a little girl, and I was one of the evil stepsisters. And so we would hang out backstage, theater backstage, and Olivia was singing all the songs from the show. And she was only, I don't know, 6 years old. And she was singing all the songs. She knew everybody's lines. She was phenomenal. And we all just went, "Oh my God, she's, really masterful." And so then I didn't see her after that. I knew about her a little bit, but I didn't know she went voiceovers. And somebody said that Olivia Hack played Chia, and I went, "Olivia Hack, I know her. She was a little thing." So it was really fun. It was a circle that came around back to her and me in some way. So I'm very happy that she played Shion too, because it's just a fun little thing to know.
Wow. I
Yeah.
never even realized you met Olivia Hack until you told me. But
Yeah, and she
now
was
I
only a
know.
girl, right? Right?
Oh, oh
Bit of
God.
history. There you go, Sebastian. A little history that a lot of people don't know.
Oh yeah, now I understand. So thank you for that kind of knowledge right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Well,
without further ado, I have these last questions due to the time limit there, so I'll ask you this.
okay.
In the show X, the anime, what was it like for you to play that character, Orochi Gensho? Or, by all means, if you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. As a matter of fact, she's on my banner, and she's quite prominent in her red and her sword and everything. And I'm like, that's the one I want to see. You see, anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to get this out of my head, but whew, you remember Ninja Cadets, right?
I do.
What was it like for you playing Matsuri in the entire project?
I loved her. I loved her. She she jumps from rock to rock. Is that right? I remember jumping from rock to rock and fighting and just fun and spunky. She's spunky, and I just had a blast playing her. Wait, tell me something, Sebastian, though. I am not remembering. Was it Bang Zoom?
It
Who did
was
that?
Bang Zoom.
Was Bang
You
Zoom?
are correct. It's
Okay, then I do
true.
remember.
And
Oh,
and
I enjoyed
Eric,
him. And yes, Eric Sherman. Yes,
he's the
yes,
one who directed you throughout the entire thing, where
yeah.
you, alongside Sandy Fox and Lex Lang, did a most spectacular job doing that throughout the entire project.
It doesn't get any notice. It doesn't get any attention, and I'm always amazed by that. I think
Hmm.
it's a delightful show.
And
So why do you think it doesn't get as much attention? Do you have any idea?
well, let's just say when it comes to the voice actors and their credits there, it just comes into fruition to, well, just get to know about these shows very well,
Yeah,
especially through behind the voice actor's website, which is something I'm beginning to learn these days. But
yeah,
hey, it's everybody goes through that.
yeah, yeah.
Now then, speaking of another project that Eric brought you into, but you know about Rurouni Kenshin, right?
Yes.
Well, so what's it like being part of Rurouni Kenshin as the character Siyu or any character that works best? But it's
Yeah,
okay.
well, I have to say that any of those shows were always enjoyable for me. There's no doubt about it. I think that I like the that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to remember if she had like a deeper voice or she had my higher voice. I think she had a deeper voice.
Yes, sort of
Yeah.
like, yes, what you must understand is something you must learn about it, Kenshin. Remember
Yes.
that.
Yes, and that's what I do like, Sebastian. I like being able to go there too instead of all of the higher voices. So I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed it very much.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice to hear from you. Because
Yeah.
all I
Yeah.
know is that I got to know about Rurouni Kenshin because of, some Dorothy herself who was involved in it alongside everybody else, alongside Michael Soret and everybody. I give props to Eric for just, bringing you in and just directing you to play some characters by all means. Because,
Right.
hey, it just takes a lot of work there. Plus, there was a 2023 version of the show, a remake actually, which is
Oh,
currently dubbed by Steve Staley.
oh,
So, yeah, that's something I want
Steve.
to express to
Yeah.
you right there.
I love Steve. And and Bang Zoom did that one as well?
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Since he's the current director of Demon Slayer and many projects yet to come.
So is Seo in the show or not in the show at all?
Not in the show.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
yet. But when the
Yeah.
time comes, you will see.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, Leia, it's such an honor to finally meeting you, and it's just very nice seeing you around.
Sebastian, a joy. And you have so much knowledge and it's so fabulous. And thank you for sharing
Of
links
course,
and everything.
of
Appreciate it.
course. There's one
Yeah.
more thing I like to ask you in a quick way, but
Yeah.
how do you want to be remembered as a voice actor?
That I was an actor's actor and a director's actor. In other words, I took direction well and I appreciated the work of other actors and we all got along. That I brought joy to the room and hard professional work.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure so that way everyone can know about who you are on the inside.
Yeah.
That's my
Definitely.
reason why I support you at every turn, in every way.
So
And it's my reasoning why I'm going to be making that video for you eventually when the time comes.
very sweet. Well, now, is this go on your YouTube channel? This
Yes, the
interview?
voice showcase like everybody else.
Okay, fabulous.
Hmm,
And I'm going to send you the flyer for the up and coming convention I will be at in Wisconsin.
of course.
That's my latest.
Of
Okay,
course. Well,
cool.
Leia, it's such an honor to meet you, and I hope you do something awesome.
Thank you. I plan to and hope to too. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sebastian. And good luck with everything you do. Everything you do. Good
Thank you,
luck.
my friend.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
You too.
Okay.
Bye. Want to keep up with my journey? Follow me on social media for more updates, behind the scenes moments, and all the fun along the way.